Hello everyone, I'm Buruffy1322 and over the last 10 years I've tested every single vehicle in GTA 5 for lap time and top speed. And I've decided to do it all over again on the new gen versions of the game as one last hurrah. This video is brought to you by GTAcars.net, the #1 place for vehicle information for GTA 5 that I own and run. From lap times to tier lists and advanced metadata to informative articles, it's got everything that you need and more. Go straight there with the link in the description and pinned comment. So all the way back in November 2013, more than 10 years ago now, I started testing cars in GTA Online to combat some of the common misinformation that was spreading around YouTube in those early days, namely that the Adder was the fastest supercar and the Carbonizer was the fastest car overall because it had the highest in-game stat total. In those early days, I tested all raceable stock vehicles on Rockstar's Cutting Corners circuit, and thanks to the sharing of my Super and Sports Cars video on Reddit, my channel got kickstarted. Around a year later, in October 2014, I started testing cars on Cutting Corners GP, my own variation of the original Rockstar track that was longer and a little bit more involved. With help from the small community that I'd built off the back of my original testing, I was able to raise some money to buy some shark cards to allow me to purchase all the vehicles in the game and test them fully upgraded with all performance modifications. That fully upgraded testing series was active from then all the way to December 2023 and totaled 332 videos as I continued to test new vehicle additions with each DLC, as well as retest previously completed vehicles when we moved from the PS3 and 360 versions to the PS4 and Xbox One. I also added top speed testing to the mix with a separate series in 2015 that itself spanned 183 videos, in order to get a more complete picture of overall car performance. And by the end of the old series, I'd tested 744 vehicles, which is every single one in the game, for both lap time and top speed. With at least 10 laps and 30 minutes for both metrics per vehicle, we're talking well over 7,500 laps of the track and 372 hours or nearly 16 days of pure testing time. And to be honest, I'm sure those numbers would be over 10,000 laps and 500 hours if we include the various retesting of cars I've had to do over the years. And that's not to mention the time taken to make all those videos. And like the idiot that I am, 10 years on from my first batch of stock car testing on the Xbox 360, I decided to do it all over again. When I first started, there were 7 cars in the supercars class and 19 in sports. Now there's 62 supercars and over 100 sports cars, not to mention all the other classes that have ballooned in numbers over the years. This has been, once again, an absolutely mammoth undertaking, but I'm really looking forward to getting these new videos out there, and I really hope that you're going to enjoy full class-specific testing videos one last time. It was 4 years ago that I last did this with the 2020 lap time and top speed videos, but I hope the wait will have been worth it. It's going to be an entirely new video format with new graphics and everything built from scratch to incorporate lap time and top speed together in one video, utilising an organisational system that's been tried and tested for many years now with race tiers. These videos will be an improvement on the older series in basically every single way and on every single metric, from accuracy of results to presentation and visuals. This series will be my magnum opus for GTA 5 videos, all while setting the groundwork for any future GTA 6 testing videos, if it's even possible to do that. To be clear, every car you'll see in these new videos has been retested for both lap time and top speed. The move to 60 FPS on the new gen platforms has allowed for more accurate top speed readings, while things have also changed on the lap time side, with almost every car seeing an improvement in performance, albeit some seeing bigger improvements than others. It's the most accurate my testing has ever been, and with no DLC cars coming anytime soon to spoil the party, the first few videos will contain all vehicles from each class for the longest time they ever have. But why did I do it all again, you may ask? Do I really hate myself that much? Well, in all honesty, I've actually enjoyed the process more than I thought I would, mainly because of the changes in performance that I've been seeing from the cars. While top speed testing is never fun, getting somewhat fresh results and working out how best to showcase those in videos has been quite enjoyable. Don't get me wrong, it is a hell of a lot of work, but it's also work that I kind of needed to get back into doing regularly. By having a set amount of time each week for car testing over the last year, which will continue into the future, I've gotten myself used to regular testing again, so I can hit the ground running for GTA 6. If I hadn't embarked on this project and only continued testing cars every 6 months when new DLCs dropped, I truly believe that I'd have been overwhelmed with what I needed to do when GTA 6 arrived. Now there's no guarantees any of the testing that I've been doing for the last 10 years will be possible or anywhere close to the same on the next game, but at least I'm as prepared as I can be. In addition to all of that though, with GTA 5 coming to an end in the next few years, it just felt right to give it a proper send-off. New testing on the new versions of the game for a new testing series. One last hurrah for the game that's given me so much over the years. Now with all of that out of the way, things aren't anywhere near as simple as they were back in 2013. Spoilers didn't increase grip back then for a start, but beyond that there's been a whole host of changes made to the game and car performance that are what I'd consider now to be assumed knowledge. For example, the role that off-road wheels play, which upgrades are required to maximize performance, what HSW stands for, stuff like that. I'm going to use this video to go over all of these aspects quickly so that I don't need to mention them in the testing videos and can instead focus on the cars themselves without having to take the time out to explain that you need a spoiler on everything except cars with active spoilers and other such things. So first of all, the basics, performance upgrades and car setups. I made a deep dive video into this aspect which I'll link for more detail, but for now I'll explain how I get my cars ready for testing. All cars are set up in the same way, so they're all tested on the same metrics. When it comes to performance upgrades, they all need to be maxed out. Engine, transmission, turbo, mode, whatever the car has, the highest level needs to be applied to improve both acceleration and top speed. Even if the stat bars say that the car is maxed out for a lower level, you'll still get benefits from the highest level. The in-game stat bars are useless and should never be trusted. Next up is spoilers, which give an improvement to the traction of the car, allowing it to corner at higher speeds. These always need to be applied with the non-stock option, and for my testing I apply the smallest available, although all spoilers give the same traction bonus, unless it's at the very top of the list in Los Santos Customs, which doesn't give any benefit. For wheels, I always apply the same Raider wheels from the off-road category across all cars to keep some consistency. Some older cars do still benefit from having a smoother ride over bumps when off-road wheels are applied, but most new cars don't. Nevertheless, the same wheels are applied on everything to reduce variables. I'll tell you how you can find out whether a car benefits from off-road wheels after we've talked about suspension and brakes. In general, suspension doesn't matter, so for consistency, I apply the middle option that the car allows. However, some cars have a handling flag that reduces body roll and therefore usually improves performance with suspension upgrades, so for those cars, the lowest suspension option is applied. Similarly, maximum brakes are applied on all cars except those that have the ABS Alt model flag, which causes cars to lock up easily under braking. In those cases, stock brakes are better to easier find the window of brake pressure that won't lock the brakes. For all of these options, as well as off-road wheels, whether a vehicle has a spoiler and more, you can check gtacars.net to find out which cars benefit from what. Just go to a vehicle page and see what's listed under improvements in the performance section. If it says lower suspension better, or better with off-roads, or better with stock brakes, then you know that car is one of the exceptions to the general setup rules. All of the mods are left stock so as not to interfere with the natural handling characteristics of each car, except for applying full neons to bring the car's centre of mass down. For most cars you won't see this since I use an invisible crew colour, but they're always there. For more detailed info on all things relating to car upgrades and more refined setups, check the associated deep dive video or the 2 articles on gtacars.net, which I'll leave links to in the description. The next thing to talk about is the tier system. Tier lists are designed in such a way as to allow any car within a specific tier to be competitive with other cars within that tier. This means that you can host, for example, a Supers F tier race and pick any car knowing that you won't be at a pace disadvantage as long as everyone else also picks a Supers F tier car. While the tiers are largely defined by the car's lap times, there will be the odd anomaly where a car's top speed or general characteristics necessitate it being placed in a tier that's higher or lower than its lap time would suggest. The primary goal is to ensure there are multiple cars that can be used at the top of any tier, with preference given to a car being at the bottom of a higher tier if it would otherwise solely dominate the lower tier. But beyond all of that, it's just a better organisational system for grouping together these cars, now that we have such bloated classes with 50 to 100 cars per class. As with everything in this video, you can find a more detailed explanation of and justification for the tier system with the article linked in the description. Now, the general approach with my testing has always been to be as relevant as possible to as many people as possible, and that is reflected in my testing methodologies. I could test top speed on a really long, completely flat stunt road piece, but top speeds are actually lower on those than they are on regular roads, and I believe it's more relevant to know what the speed is of a car when you're driving on a normal road, like you're more likely to do on a day-to-day basis. I don't think I've personally ever driven on a completely flat stunt road for more than 2 seconds in any stunt race. Similarly, I could test lap time on a track with more straights, or more corners, or that's completely flat, or that's more bumpy. But I feel that the track I use is a good balance of everything, with a decent mix of corner types and a few higher speed sections. Then the top speed testing gives the final piece of the puzzle for overall car performance. I feel that my testing gives a good general baseline representation of car performance that will be applicable to as many tracks as possible, and I choose to test all cars in 2 ways rather than go the route of, for example, only testing the Supers class but in 10 different ways or on different tracks. There's only so much one person can do, and I try to spend my time testing in a way that I feel will be the most relevant to the most people possible. But naturally there will be outliers from my testing where one car will do better on a specific track type or situation than others, and I'll do my best to explain those during the testing videos. You can read my full methodology for lap time and top speed with detailed explanations on how the testing is carried out to be as rigorous as possible, while also explaining the various limitations with the 2 articles that I'll link in the description. There's a number of other quick fire questions that usually get asked, and I'll try to cover as many of them here as I can. No, armour upgrades don't impact performance in any way. No, you don't need spoilers on cars with active spoilers. Yes, I report the average top speed for cars with intermittent boosts, such that it's an accurate reading for how fast you're actually travelling across the map. Yes, wheeling with bikes is always quicker, except for outliers like the Hakucho Drag, which can't wheelie in the first place. No, I'm not mispronouncing cutting corners. The track name isn't Corners, it's Coroners, since it drives around the coroner's office and the original version goes through the hospital. It's the name Rockstar gave the original track. My GP circuit version is based on that. A lot of these answers can be found in the respective articles that I've already mentioned that are linked in the description, and if you have any other questions, I do recommend reading those first, as your answer will likely be found there too, even if I haven't specifically mentioned it in this video. The final things to talk about are HSW and drift upgrades. These are relatively new aspects, and in the case of HSW are only available on the PS5 and Xbox Series versions of the game, at least right now. HSW stands for How's Special Works, and it's available as an upgrade for a select number of cars within the Los Santos car meet. Applying the upgrade and then applying the higher engine, transmission and turbo upgrades that become available give the car a really big straight line speed improvement. It's essentially like swapping out the engine for a much more powerful one, giving better acceleration and much higher top speeds. Though traction isn't improved, so a car that's bad in the corners will still be bad in the corners. I treat HSW cars as separate cars entirely and test all cars in their HSW mode and non-HSW mode, since they can also be enabled or disabled on the fly in race lobbies. I'll do my best during the testing videos to explain which the fastest cars are on platforms that don't have HSW available, or when HSW is turned off in races on the new platforms, but in general, they will be included in the ordering just like every other car. So if you're on PS4 and it has HSW in the name, just ignore it in the videos. The new drift modification that's also available in the Los Santos car meet is basically an HSW upgrade, but to help a car drift rather than give it a higher top speed. The select cars that get this drift modification have custom handling where performance upgrades aren't meant to apply in order to help the car drift properly, and because of this, the stock versions that are available in races are meant to be the same as any owned car you might have that you apply this modification to. However, it seems like that isn't the case at the moment, and since the drift cars are so new and will probably undergo some changes or fixes, as well as the fact that lap times for drift cars are mostly useless, I'll be saving the testing for those cars until later when I'll make a specific drift class video, rather than including them in their respective main class video like sports or muscle. So with all that being said, it's time for some final notes before we get into the new testing videos. GTAcars.net and my master spreadsheet of vehicle info, both of which I'll link in the description but can also be found on broughy.com/testing, will both get updated with new lap times and top speeds 1 week after each video. For those who want to support everything I'm doing with this work, I have a number of options available on broughy.com/support, from one-off donations to regular subscriptions. I wouldn't be able to do all of this without all of you watching and supporting, so if you have the ability to support directly, it does have a big impact on everything that I do. With that in mind, I've revamped my Patreon and YouTube member offerings with the new testing series as a focus, as well as future GTA 6 testing, to provide some extra perks for those who choose to support. Some of these include the ability to get early access to watch testing videos before everyone else and dictate some of the races I do on streams, alongside the classic perks of early lap time info in text form for new cars, priority access to join streams, and extra Discord chats, which will be utilised more starting next year. You can see all the perks for each level of support at patreon.com/Broughy1322, which also has some cheaper options because more of your money goes directly to me on that platform, or by clicking the join button on YouTube. Thanks in advance to everyone who feels my work is worth any amount of extra support, and that includes liking, commenting, and sharing videos to boost them in the algorithm. Anything extra all adds up and truly helps. And I guess that's everything. The only thing now is to wait for the first of the new breed of testing videos. And you won't have to wait long either. The 2024 Supercars video will be out tomorrow. And after that, we'll have a new class-specific video, assuming all goes to plan, every other Thursday until we've gone through all the classes one last time. There may be a few delays or a week or two every now and then, but once the Supers video is out, I'm envisaging things running a lot smoother than they have in the run-up to this video. It has been a lot. Make sure that you're subscribed and have notifications on for my channel if you want to make sure that you won't miss anything. And for anyone watching this afterwards, the link for the playlist that contains all classes and all cars tested will be in the description and pinned comment, as well as linked at the end of each video on the screen. And as I've mentioned, check the description for a whole host of helpful information and more links. As always, thank you all so much for your continued support over the last 10 years. Let's end GTA 5 car testing with a bang and set the standard for what I'll be hoping to achieve with GTA 6. Thanks a lot for watching everyone, and I'll see you next time.